Welcome in to Lock and Live NFL Week 1 edition with Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy. Thanks everyone for joining us. NFL is back. First Sunday of NFL. We're really excited and we're looking to get after it. How are you guys doing this morning, Uncle Phil and Smooth Andy?
Good, man. Excited for week 1. Got a little taste of it this week. Got to see, 4 big names, 2 big games. I'm expecting today to just be complete chaos. Smooth Andy, what do you think about today?
Yeah, today's for me the same as the last couple weeks in college. I'm really going to be getting my first taste of these teams, a lot of them. Looking forward to collecting some data, but I'm gonna try to wade in slowly with the bets like I did with college. We'll see how it goes. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Chris Hansen today.
Well, speaking of college, before we get rolling on your NFL picks, both of you guys had pretty monstrous days yesterday with picking games. Uncle Phil with an 8-1, which is pretty marvelous. Smooth Andy 5-2. I mean, the two of you combined are absolutely crushing it throughout the season so far. So looking forward to keeping the run going with NFL. But before we get to NFL, would love to hear you guys talk about yesterday's success.
Yeah, Smooth Andy, what do you think about yesterday?
Well, I was glad to see Clemson bounce back. That was a real rocking chair cover for me. That felt good for a number of reasons. I think Colorado. I'm sorry to see Colorado kind of already lose. I talk about it all the time. Colorado and Miami are the teams that always, now with Deion at Colorado, and it's only his second year, but those are the two teams that I love to see go 3 or 4-0, and then they finally play even a mediocre team in conference, and then the wheels just come off. So, so Colorado's already had that loss that's exposed them to some degree, and so there's probably not going to be as much money to be made on them. For me, that disappointed me. Other than that, just learning. How about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, look, Nebraska was my bonus pick, yet one of my 2 bonus picks yesterday. It was one of my 2 strongest bets yesterday, just for the reasons you just mentioned. Colorado really hyped up in the off season. Couldn't have been more value going against them. Even on the road against a team that's really good, a team with a superior coach. And what looks to be a really, really good freshman quarterback for Nebraska. So I think it is. And look, it's really the college first 2 weeks parallel what's going to happen in the NFL right now with the odds makers. The odds makers, they count on the public right now. They count on the public looking at last year's win-loss records and how people finished and going, that's exactly how they're going to be this year. And that's just not what happens. That's completely different. And especially, with the NIL and portal and what happens with in the NFL with draft and free agency, teams look dramatically different and coaching changes. Look, I think that's the word of advice that I have to give everybody this morning is that just, remember some of what you remember last year about those teams, but just remember that different pieces can make teams look dramatically different. Just like Kansas City, people remember them as kind of a dink and dunk team. Last year was a year to get Kansas City in the NFL. This year, Kansas City got more explosive players, especially with Xavier Worthy. They now have a deep threat for Patrick Mahomes who can just flat out air it out. And just wait till they get Hollywood Brown back in 4 weeks. They're going to look like they're just going to be a nightmare to cover. So, excited about that. But if I can just give everybody a word of caution that Vegas is counting on you looking at last year's the way teams finished last year and thinking they're going to be the exact same this year.
Yeah, that's really a good piece of advice. Well, before we lock in live, just a friendly reminder to the audience, if you like the new format of the show and you do like the show, please like and retweet. And also, if you want to ask questions, whatever social media platform you're viewing this on, just comment and we'll see it. And when we get to that portion of the show, we'll get to your questions and comments. Anyways, without further ado, Uncle Phil, where are we heading first to lock in live NFL Week 1?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, you guys, if you're on TikTok, or if you see the video that comes on through TikTok that I put on other social media platforms, on Instagram, and it goes on YouTube as well, and then on Twitter, is that today you'll kind of see a theme about today. And the way I did this is that just remember last year, or the past 2 seasons, the unders in the very first week are 23-9. It's a massive deal. And so the first place I'm going is I'm going to Atlanta, where I'm watching Pittsburgh do battle with Atlanta, and I'm going to take the under 41.5. I just really think the defenses again are way ahead of the offenses. Really haven't seen Kirk Cousins move around post Achilles. JJ Watt, and Atlanta's got a great offensive line, but Pittsburgh's got a really solid defense. As they spend more money on defense than any other team in the entire NFL. Atlanta certainly boosted their defense. Excited what they're going to do this year. So I expect this game to be, again, a lower scoring game. I think if this game were in a month, the total would probably be around 36. And I think right now you're still getting some value at 41.5. The next game I'm going, the afternoon game, is I'm going to Cleveland, where Dallas and Cleveland are going to do battle again. Deshaun Watson's got more off-target throws than any other quarterback in the NFL last year. The offense just kind of sputters. The defense, again, was the number 1 defense last year. Jim Schwartz, the defensive head coach, he was the defensive head coach of the year last year. You've got on the other side of the ball, you've got Dallas is just not much without a running game. Dak's got a losing record with a running game without a 100-yard rusher. You've got 2 rookie tackles for Dallas that one of them has to go up against Myles Garrett. Why would you think that's a great option for them? And if they keep people in to protect and help on the offensive tackles, then that gives Dak less people to throw on the outside or out and route. So I just think it's a tough deal for them. So I think both these teams start slow, and I'm going to go under 41 for Dallas and Cleveland as my 2 of my best bets. I've got 1 bonus pick in the notebook, and I've got, in addition, I've got 4 other plays as well. So that's where I'm headed. Those are my picks.
We love it. Smooth Andy, where are you heading today?
Well, I've every single one of my picks today. I've got 7 total. 3 I'm going to give now, 4 over Twitter afterwards. Every single one of them is a dog. I do like Uncle Phil taking some unders because, gosh, I wish I could afford to just carpet bomb all the unders and assume that at least 50% will cover, because I think that might not be a bad idea. But I'm not really leaning on those right now. I've got Vegas +3 against the Chargers. I don't necessarily think the Chargers are going to become an overnight sensation. They lost both of their best wide receivers. We talked about them extensively during our sessions on the AFC West. I don't like Vegas terribly, but I do think this is a good spot for them. It's a conference, a division dog. In the first game of the season, I think a lot of people are probably expecting Jim Harbaugh to just flip a switch and everything's going to be all right, but I think it'll take some time. So give me Vegas today. Also, the bet percentages for the Chargers today are very high as well. They're getting 67% of the bets on at Don Best. So give me them. Give me Tennessee +3.5. That one we found out yesterday. I found out on Twitter. Actually, it's up to 4, by the way. So if you get it now, you're going to get an extra half point. I like that game as well for numerous reasons. One of which is that everybody is betting on Chicago. They think Caleb Williams is just going to hit the ground running. Rookie quarterbacks. I don't remember the exact number, but I think rookie quarterbacks who were the number 1 overall pick starting in their first game for their new team are 1-15 against the spread, I believe, historically. I hope that trend continues because then I'm going to cover this one. And finally, I got Arizona plus 6.5. I know, I believe Uncle Phil likes this one as well. We talked about it earlier this week when we were looking at the games. I'm not sure if it made his notebook or not, but Arizona, I like Kyler Murray. I think Buffalo has taken a bit of a step back, and they might be becoming more of a an above average team as opposed to a contender. And I think that Arizona has a very good coach, and I expect them to come out swinging today. So my three, Matt: Las Vegas, Tennessee, and Arizona.
Good stuff. Looking forward to watching those. Let's get to the questions. What do you guys think? First question on the line is actually from longtime listener Andrew. Good to see you in the chat. What is your Circa pick for this week? I know Uncle Phil, you play Circa every year. If you would love to talk about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've got a couple entries today. I've got Cincinnati and I've got Seattle as my two Circa picks. I've got 10 entries this year, and I split them between both. So hopefully those will go well for me today. I figure that Cincinnati playing at home against a New England team that, new coach, Jacoby Brissett starting. Most people thought that Drake May outplayed him in the preseason. They don't have many weapons for Brissett. I think it's a rebuilding year for the Patriots, and I think that Cincinnati is a good bet for that. Rookie quarterbacks last year who started were 1-9 against the spread. So our week one rookie quarterbacks were 1-9, and rookie coaches were 1-9 last year. So I would fade that, and that's why I took Seattle.
Sweet. Thanks for the question, Andrew. Next up, we got a bunch of people asking about Dolphins Jags.
Yeah. Smooth Andy, you got a grin on your face like you're just ready to answer that one.
No, not exactly. I'm not on this one today, but that is going to be a fun game. Pretty important to the people of Florida. Two of their three teams playing against each other to open the season. I'll be really interested to see how Jacksonville looks with their wide receivers, especially after losing Ridley. And we'll see if Tyreek Hill, after his handcuffs are removed, if he goes out and makes a point to have a big game today or not. But that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it should be good. Same for me. Don't have a play on it in the notebook. I'm just excited to watch it. Like, a lot of storylines there. The humidity that typically engulfs Florida in September won't have an effect on these two teams since they both are from there. So they should be well adapted to that. I don't really see an advantage there. I'm just, will Miami actually have a defense this year? How will, can Trevor Lawrence take care of the ball? I mean, leads in the NFL the past 3 seasons in fumbles. Just a lot of storylines. Really excited to watch that game. I just don't even have an opinion on it. Should be a high-scoring game, though, I think. One of the few.
Sweet. Next on the line, we got Giants-Vikings from Penny Talks. Any thoughts on that game?
Smooth.
Giants-Vikings. I do. I'm actually going to be on the Giants today. I think they're only getting 1 at the moment. It's bounced around a bit this week. Give me Danny Dimes for all of his faults. Give me a Danny Dimes over Sam Darnold. Short term, a lot of people have high hopes that Darnold this will finally be Darnold's chance to show that he can be a quarterback on a team that actually has a handful of weapons. But I think Minnesota's more or less flown the white flag by letting Cousins go, and they're in rebuild mode. And I think that message is probably loud and clear in the locker room as well. So I'm expecting the Giants to surprise some people as a home dog today.
Yeah. No, I think that it'll be interesting to see how both these teams turn out. A lot of people are expecting Minnesota to actually potentially be really good this year because they do have a good roster, except for the quarterback. Can Darnold take care of the ball? Can Danny Dimes, can he? How does he look post Achilles? How's that going to look for him, or ACL, excuse me? And Dayball's taken over play calling this year. As a home underdog, the Giants are 9-3. There's certainly some trends in his favor on that. We'll see. I think, can Darnold, I certainly think they're going to try to force Darnold into making some mistakes because, they've got just some beast on that defensive line for the Giants. Should be a really interesting game. I personally am not playing it, but I think there's some good storylines there.
Good stuff. We'll take about 2 to 3 more questions before we wrap up and get ready for the day.
Mm-hmm.
We got a YouTube question from Andreas. Thoughts on Panthers +4 against New Orleans? I believe in Canales, and the Saints seem to have not gotten better at all.
Yeah, it's in my notebook. I'm playing the side as well as the total on that one. Can't really speak to that, but it is really an interesting game. Look, I think the odds-on favorite are for Dennis Green, the Saints head coach, to be the first one fired.
Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen, excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you. Dennis Allen, the Saints head coach, he's the odds-on favorite in Vegas for the first one to be fired this year. Dave Canales, coach for the Panthers, he is, what he's done at Seattle and did at Tampa. People are thinking he can do the same with Bryce Young. Today will be a good step forward. I thought Bryce Young looked a lot better in preseason, but again, it's preseason against vanilla defense, but he certainly looked more accurate, and I think you can see that preseason. But look, I'm excited about it, and I know it's not the most appealing game of a lot of people's watch list today, but I'm pretty excited about that one. Smooth Andy, what about you?
It's going to be one of my Twitter picks as well. I've got Carolina +3.5 is what I wrote down, but I think you're right. It's gone up to. There are some 4s, but there are also 3.5. So I guess I'll have to see what I get. This is more just a gut feel. I like dogs in game one. I just don't. I don't believe in Dennis Allen. I actually saw some people who seem to be picking New Orleans as the odds-on favorite to win the division for the NFC South, which really shocked me because I'm like, what haven't you been? What hasn't been happening in the last 2 or 3 years that should be happening this year? I don't understand. So I just think they are who we thought they were, and I think Carolina is going to be at least a little better and be able to hang with them. I just don't think New Orleans is particularly good. So I'm gonna place a bet on that. I'm getting the hook, and I'm getting more than a field goal. I'll take that,
especially in a divisional game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. We'll take one more question here. It's a game we haven't talked about. Texans versus Colts.
Not a game that I'm playing, but definitely a game I'm watching. I kind of felt like that Jordan Love didn't take a step. I didn't feel like he took that next step up against Philadelphia Eagles. Hard to see with the field the way it was, in a soccer field the way it's designed. But I really wasn't as impressed with Jordan Love. Thought he made some bad decisions. I'm wondering if C.J. Stroud, I think, Smooth Andy, you talked about this in the podcast. You kind of thought that, hey, everybody's just anointing these two as like the next, and they're going to happen. And will they go forward? I certainly didn't see that in Jordan Love. Will C.J. Stroud be the same guy we saw last year? Looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to seeing what Shane Steichen can do with his quarterback that he drafted, and that he's not Gardner Minshew. Shane Steichen again did so much with Gardner Minshew that people think is, just a really solid backup, but not a starter. So excited to watch that game. Excited to see what they do. I know C.J. Stroud will be trying to attack the middle of the field. That's where you do with the Colts structurally, and that's what they like to do anyway. So got a little bit of advantage there. But again, really good offensive coach versus a really good defensive coach. We'll see who wins. Smooth Andy, what do you think?
Once again, the listeners asked about a game that I have in my list that's coming out on Twitter. I do have Indy. I agree with you on basically everything you said. I have questioned whether Richardson is going to be the long-term solution for the Colts, and I still have that question. But I like their head coach a lot. I like the fact that they are a home dog to a divisional team, and that team has made such an impression on everybody last year that they're one of the talks of the NFL going into this season. I think this goes back to what you said when we first signed on, where you said, people are betting these games based on what they saw last year, which is not, illogical exactly. It's just, it's a little too simplified. So give me the home dog and the points. And I think this is less about CJ Stroud versus Anthony Richardson than it is about, coaching and the rest of the roster. I think Indy has a pretty strong team. So stronger than they're given credit for. And it wouldn't shock me if Houston had a bit of a sophomore slump this year after that amazing year they had last year.
Hard for them to look any better, right?
True. Yeah.
Well, guys,
I'm gonna add one more thing, Matt, is that I just don't know that Houston. The other thing I'm really watching with them is that they weren't very good at running the ball. They weren't very good at stopping the run last year, and I'm seeing if they can solve that. I don't know that. I'm not sure if they did or not. So really interested in seeing that. So again, there's a lot of things I'm looking for today. When I watch each game, those are some things I'm looking for. Smooth Andy has the pick on that side. I'll defer to him.
Awesome. Well, great show. It's been a lot of fun. Any parting thoughts before we take off here? Smooth Andy, then to Uncle Phil.
Tread lightly this week. It's just what I've been saying the last couple of weeks in college. For me, it's about accumulating data that I can use next week to look back on this week and look ahead to the week after and so forth. So I'm going to just try to – I do end up – it looks like I have 7 games. I can't believe I ended up with 7 games because I thought I'd have 3 at best. But go easy. Don't blow yourself out in the first week. This is a lot of just numbers play for me in terms of, I like 3.5s and I like 3s and yada, yada, yada. But go easy. Keep a lot of your powder dry for next week. Uncle Phil?
Yeah, agree with everything you said. Just some strategies for you guys. Remember this week, unders in week 1, the past 2 seasons are 23-9. So remember that. Underdogs against the spread in week 1 or for the past 3 seasons are hitting at 60%. And last season, road teams against the spread were 12-4. So just remember those things. Again, a lot of stuff, the videos, I can't put a lot in there, but you can see why I'm doing what I'm doing with the unders hitting at 23-9 the past 2 seasons. That's why I went with unders today. Unders are a big deal. The also thing when the underdogs are big is because the technology now that college is not allowed to use, but you have technology inside the helmets so people can hear plays in the NFL. And so Vegas now rates the home field advantage. Used to be 3 points. Now it's 1.5 points. So remember, you're getting some value with underdogs. So remember those things when you're betting today. And as always, guys, good luck and appreciate you guys tuning in. I know you got choices this morning. We appreciate you staying live with us all morning. And as always, guys, let's roll.